Welcome to Richmond Events Podcast, Leaders in the Industry, where we sit together with top-notch leaders discussing important topics in the HR, IT, marketing, finance and healthcare industry. Today's topic will be mainly about sustainable decisions. For this, we have invited Jean-Claude Biver, an iconic person for Swiss watch industry, who is holding a keynote at the Richmond Finance Directors Forum in September to talk about what it takes to be a leader in the industry. Sit back and enjoy. Leaders in the industry. Jean-Claude Biver is one of the most known and most influencing representative of the Swiss watch industry. Besides creating many luxury watch brands, bringing them up and navigating them through rough water, he worked successfully for various brands positioned below the luxury segment as well. After reviving the Blancpain name, he developed Omega, focusing on the recruitment of ambassadors such as Cindy Crawford, Michael Schumacher, or James Bond alias Pierce Brosnan. In 2004, he decided to focus on Hublot and turned the name as one of the most successful watch brands in just a few years. After leading the watch division of the LVMH group as president, he stepped down and assumed the role of the non-executive chairman. Meanwhile, he also holds a chair on the Norcane board of supervisors and is up to launch his own new watch brand. Jean-Claude, thank you very much for participating in our Leaders in the Industry podcast. Very happy to see you in September live on stage, having an interview with you. But before that, maybe to get a little bit of inspiration and of idea about what makes you, what drives you in that business. So what continuously inspired you to keep working in the field with all these big brands like Tag Heuer, Omega, Hublot?
Thank you for that question. It's an interesting question because you can ask yourself, and I could also eventually ask myself, how come that after 50 years I have never retired and I'm now 73? And I don't think I will retire in the next 7 or 10 years. How come that somebody doesn't want to retire? It's very simple. The answer is very clear. Because you cannot retire from a passion. You can only retire from a responsibility or from a job or a position. But if you retire from your passion, so what is left? Nothing. Because the passion is your life. You get up every morning because of the passion, and you sleep every night because of the passion. And a life without passion is a dead life. And I don't want to be dead, at least not for the moment. So I just go on.
Okay, it's good. Yeah. Talking about passion, leadership needs also passion. Different passion for people, passion for the product and the brand. So in your eyes, what makes a good leader and what helped you become a leader?
Okay, what makes a good leader is number one, is to share. A leader has to share. He has to share success. He has to share also defeats. He has to share with the people. The sharing process is extremely important. Number two, a leader must be respectful. He must respect the people. He must respect positions. He must respect. The respect is extremely important. Number three, a leader must pay attention to the questions of people. He must answer questions. He must not let questions die. He must activate and he must reply to every question. If you reply to questions, if you share, if you respect, it's difficult to be a bad leader. So these are human qualities, which has nothing to do with the MBA or with your degrees at the university. And that's sometimes the tragedy. People with very brilliant MBAs, eventually, sometimes they don't have the qualities to be a leader. They don't have the qualities to share, to accept defeats, to accept errors, to forgive. The forgiveness is extremely important. If you cannot forgive a failure to your people, people will be afraid to try. People will be afraid to go ahead if they know nobody will forgive them if it goes wrong. And you cannot live and be in a leading position without making mistakes. It's impossible. You cannot. It's just impossible. So the leader has the obligation to forgive mistakes. Eventually, I agree with a leader who says, I forgive the mistake one time. If the mistake is repeated a second time, I don't accept. That I can accept. Although I say you should accept the mistake twice. It can happen 2 times. The third time, okay, that's enough. Go. It's sufficient. But that is also important. How well you are ready to support and to forgive the mistakes.
Okay, very interesting. This brings me to a third question. We know each other for some years now, and I absolutely do have a huge respect to you and to your success and your work you're doing. And you were talking about a leader needs attention and a leader needs respect and to be able to forgive. How does this apply to your everyday life? Because nowadays we have a couple of crises around the globe. We have a couple of problems like finding good people. Recruiting is not so easy anymore for good people. So as a leader, you have to apply this to the actual situation and the actual crisis that we have. Does this affect your everyday situation, your everyday life?
Yes, of course, it affects it. You know, life changes every day. The problems of today, sometimes we didn't know the problem was existing yesterday. So every day brings his lot of problems, of new opportunities also, or new problems. And we are in life. In life, everything is changing. Nothing is eternity. You will find, if you look for eternity, you will find it at paradise. As soon as you enter paradise, you will be in eternity. But as long as you are on planet Earth, eternity is a dream. Nothing will last forever, except eventually love. Love has an eternity quality. Art has an eternity quality. Quality of a piece, quality of a production has a certain eternity. But beside these few exceptions, life is not eternal, and problems are also not eternal. So that's a rule, that's a philosophy of life which you have to know, which you have to respect, and which we have to apply.
Thank you. Very impressive. I would close here for the first part of our podcast and announce that within 1 week, we will announce then the second part of the podcast with Jean-Claude Biver, who is our keynote speaker at Richmond Finance Directors Forum in September in Interlaken. Jean-Claude, thank you very much, and we will talk on the second part of our podcast. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for the podcast.